Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we are building a Pinocchio Aggro deck, trying to be as fast as possible. So, why are we trying to go so fast? Well, we're going to be playing some Maleficent as a 1-drop 2-quester, or Lilo as a 1-drop 2-quester. So our turn 1, extremely heavy lore. Okay, but why? Because Pinocchio is a 3-questing 2-drop. Yeah, you heard me. That means your Lilo into Pinocchio will quest you 7 lore at the start of your turn to 3. That's an impressive amount. So we're going to be playing the Pinocchio support, mostly for fun and to see how good it is. So Pinocchio has a couple of versions. There's this one that's a 3-quester, the one we're most interested in. There's also the Talkative Puppet, 1/1 that whenever you play him, you exert an opponent's character. Doesn't fit as well into our aggressive turn, our aggressive playstyle, but with all the min-mins that we're going to be playing, being able to catch our opponent with their pants down is going to be quite interesting with this Pinocchio. And we're of course going to be playing the high-shifted Pinocchio. On the run, a 3/3, when you play it, you get to bounce a character item costing 3 or less back to its owner's hand, either casting it to protect our own cheap characters after they're exerted, or to bounce back an opposing threat and delay our opponent. So, kind of goes both ways. So there we have it, Pinocchios, all 3 of them, and 2 questing 1-drops. So now we need some protection for these cards, as they're very aggressive, but they're mostly 1/1s, in particular the high questers. So what are the protection mechanisms that we have? Well, good old bodyguard Simba still hasn't gone anywhere. Still very strong at defending against these early turn aggressions. So Simba is great. But now Amethyst has also given us the bounce back type of cards. Namely, we have Madame and Fox that's going to bounce back one of our cheap characters into our hand to protect it, and we're getting kind of a big Rafiki on the flip side. So Madame and Fox is a good inclusion. We have the best of both worlds with Arthur, Wizard's Apprentice. Whenever he quests, you get to bounce back one of your cheap characters to protect them, and you get 3 lore off of it. So ideally, our curve is going to be Maleficent, Pinocchio, Arthur, and our opponent not doing anything for the first 3 turns. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But if we can do that, then we can suddenly quest for a ton, and the opponent won't be able to catch up. Now, this is kind of a dream scenario, but like I mentioned, we do need some protection for these characters. So we're going to be playing the other Madame Snake, and which is just a big-bodied 3/3 for 2, which forces you to bounce back a character into your hand. So now we have the aggression with Lilo, Maleficent, Arthur, and Pinocchio. We have the defense with the both Madame Mins, the Simba, and Arthur kind of plays a bit of both roles. It's going to allow us to quest a lot for 1 turn, and you're kind of sacrificing Arthur to protect, say, Maleficent or Lilo from combat, and then you just play them back again. Okay. So that's nice. So what else can we play that's super aggressive? There's Sleepy. 2/3 for 2, quest for 2, so he's a 2-drop, 2-quester that has good stats as a benefit. So you're going to be playing it in 4 copies. Alright. Aggressivity, just high questers. What else do we have? Well, we have the inevitability of the Merlin Goat. He's an inkable 4-drop, and enters play, leaves play, 1 ink, and he plays well with the Madame Mins. So he's a nice inclusion to our deck. We're probably going to be inking it most of the time. Might as well play some Rapunzels. If we are making use of these Madame Mins, taking 1 or 2 points of damage, Rapunzel can help us replenish our card with some card draw, some healing, and she's also a high willpower quester. So she does a bit of everything and deserves an inclusion. Yes, even in this super aggressive list. Ooh, I'm going into the 5-drops. What am I thinking? We're not playing any of those, except Big Pinocchio. Gotta respect the team. Okay, we're at 48. What else do we want? Well, let's play... Oh, wait, no. Jiminy Cricket. The Jiminy Cricket is part of the Pinocchio archetype. He's a cheap, evasive character that draws us a card as long as we have a Pinocchio in play. And guess what? We're playing 12 of them. So Jiminy Cricket is a small, evasive threat that just keeps on questing in the background and nets us a card. And as our curve is extremely aggressive, I mean, we're topping on 4 drops and the 1 shift target. But most of our cards are 1, 2, and some 3 drops. So just having access to a few extra cards is very valuable. It's more threats on the battlefield. And since we're going to be playing some evasive threats, we might as well go with Pascal, another cheap character. Can use it as an almost free thing to bounce back off of the Madame Mins. He can also just quest in the background and keep his camouflage up and be protected from opposing characters' challenges. Also inkable, which is relevant. We have a lot of non-inkables in the deck. Between Lilo, Maleficent, Pinocchio, the other Pinocchio, Arthur, and the big Pinocchio, we have to be very careful with our mulligan about what we're going to ink. Or what we're going to keep. And we need to keep a certain amount of inkable cards. I'm going to play 2 copies of Zero to Hero. Mostly because I want to be ridiculously aggressive. So let's just put let's cheat in more characters in play that are cheap off of the characters we already have in play. Flood the board, quest for a ton, and defeat the opponent before they have the time to do anything. Only 2 copies because, well, it's not inkable. So we don't want to be stuck with too many of those. We're already pushing the envelope of not inkable quite far, but we'll see if it works. And we'll play a pair of Lefou, Bumbler, just to complete our list. A pair of inkable, 2 quester, 2 drops, because we need a bit more inkable cards, and we want to keep on questing for a ton. So there we have it, Pinocchi-Aggro, super aggressive list, and now let's watch it in action with some games. Let's see if we can match the speed of a Western and draw like that Pinocchio is on that card. Have Madame Min, Jiminy Cricket, Madame Min, Merlin, Pascal, Pinocchio, and Pascal. I don't really want the big Pinocchio right now. 2 Madame Mins is too many. And the rest we'll keep for inkability. Also double Pascal is kind of nice. Let me find Maleficent, which is an upgrade. Ooh, opponent inks a Minnie Mouse. So opponent is playing evasives. So probably don't want to interact too much with what we're doing. We're going to ink a Sleepy and go with the traditional turn 1 Maleficent. Just 2 questions on turn 1. We're on the draw, so not as fast as we'd like to be. Opponent resolves a Cusco. Cusco, one who doesn't mind going to the discard pile. Going to ink our Merlin. And I think we want to play the Pinocchio here. 3 quester Pinocchio enters the battlefield. Aladdin, which means no Tinkerbell available or grab your swords. Opponent's probably playing some kind of control deck. With a pair of Cusco and an Aladdin, that seems to be the case. They do have a nice option to go for Madame Min this turn. I think I'm going to take that option. Probably don't need so many Pascals anymore. Gonna quest with Pinocchio and drop Madame Min Fox. Bouncing back Pinocchio, and Madame Min will take out Cusco. Opponent will draw a card off of the trigger as we pass the turn back. Madame Min Fox just 4/3 bounce one of our own characters. No worries there. Ooh, Spellbook. And the opponent will gain 1 lore off of the spellbook. Opponent's really going hard on that control type strategy. But you know what control is afraid of? Aggro. Especially very fast aggro. Opponent's thinking about singing a 2-drop song or just questing with the Cusco, I guess. Or maybe even trading with Min. Opponent goes to quest. Alright, I do like the Manamin Snake. Oh, I wanted to ink that Pascal, but I guess it's going into play. I'll play the Pinocchio again. Manamin will take the combat. Opponent will draw, and we'll quest at Maleficent. Applying some pressure. I somewhat forgot to ink there, but we probably want to top our curve at about 4 ink anyways. So I'm not overly concerned with that. When hardcast friends on the other side. We don't have that many turns left. Ooh, Queen of Hearts. Just a 2-2 rush. That did catch me by surprise there. Then again, the opponent could play so many other rushers. Doesn't overly matter. They had one. Which took out one of our threats. We still have 1 turn before the big board wipe. Probably want to take out that Queen of Hearts. These folks will want a quest, as is their main purpose in life. Also play an extra Lilo. Do you want bodyguard? 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 power of questing on board. That's quite a bit. Let's play the bodyguard. Don't pass a turn back. 9 ink. The opponent cannot board wipe this turn. Opponent can still Maui, Rafiki, and all these nice annoying things. Inks some friends. Has the Dragonfire, our 2-drop. That's why the deck is a Pinocchio deck. 3 quester. Yeah, prime removal target. Opponent can also gain 1 lore off of the spellbook. That's fine. We will just quest with our crew. And we'll ink Madam Min, because I want to go Pinocchio Jiminy Cricket next turn. Of course, we don't want to overcommit to the board, because our opponent is gonna want to be prepared. And there's the board wipe. Turn passes back to us, and we can go Pinocchio Cricket. Drawing a card off of Jiminy, another Madam Min. That is acceptable. Opponent's trying to reach that Maleficent ink, or maybe just an Elsa. Ooh, Aladdin. Alright, well, we'll ride the crickets. Jiminy draw a card. Jiminy draw a card. And we can just quest with the cricket. No real reason to quest with Pinocchio. Force the opponent to exert it if they want to take it out with Aladdin. Jiminy Cricket, just a small evasive. And there she is, the Spirit of Winter. Freezing Pinocchio so he can be taken out by the swordsman. Which unfortunately sets us back. That's okay, we've played all our crickets. Now the question is, do we need to go all in on the board? Or can we play around another copy of Be Prepared? And I don't think we can. 14, we can quest for 3, 17. during your turn when this character vanishes. I mean, we can ink Madam Min, play another one, take out Aladdin, and then we have 8 questing on board. What am I afraid of? Apart from be prepared. Another Elsa? Another Elsa would be troublesome. Double Madam Min doesn't help me overly much. So yeah, let's go Madam Min, bounce a Jiminy, and take out Aladdin. Let's remove that threat of getting some ink drained. Now we have lethal questing. The opponent needs to do something about that. If they can. If they can't, well, we'll take the win. Which we do take. The opponent has no way to deal with our unrelenting aggressivity as we take the win against a Ruby Amethyst control deck. Let's see if we can string together some wins. Alright, we have a Pinocchio, Pascal, Arthur, Sleepy, Rapunzel, Zero to Hero, and a Heavy Quester Pinocchio. Seems like a nice curve, just a few too many uninkables, mostly that Pinocchio. But Pascal, Pinocchio, followed by Zero to Hero into Arthur. Yeah, no, that seems nice. Nice and aggressive. Alright, we draw a Merlin Goat. Let's ink that. And resolve our turn 1 Pascal. Passing the turn back. Yeah, we won't have a singer on turn 2 for Zero the Hero. So that's not quite gonna work. Opponent inks a Queen. Plays Cinderella. Opponent is better prepared to sing some stuff. That's okay. We're gonna ink a Rapunzel. Do have to be a little bit careful about uninkables here. And I'll play our Pinocchio, making Pascal evasive, and we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. We now have our mighty 3 Quester in play. As the opponent inks a Greatest Criminal Mind. And plays a Queen. So the opponent has a flurry of 1-drops. Cinderella will simply quest. Ooh, we find a Madam Min. Madam Min can take out that Cinderella, so maybe we do a change of plan. We'll ink her Sleepy. Now, how do we want to do this? We can play Maleficent, sing Zero to Hero for 3. Get Madam Min off of that. Yeah, but I do want to quest with that Pinocchio. I think I'm just going to quest with Pinocchio, bring it back with Madam Min, and play the more standard line where Madam Min is just going to take out that Cinderella for very cheap. Madam Min Fox doing quite well. Then Pascal can keep on questing. Which brings us to 5 lore on turn 3. Pretty solid. And we have a combat threat. Opponent plays a Lantern. And the Queen decides against challenging our Madam Min. Alright, I need to reread Zero to Hero, which we've drawn a few too many copies now. Alphabetical, so you pay X less for the next character you play this turn. Only applies to 1 character. Alright. I think we just go all in and drop our hand on the board. Maleficent, Pinocchio, Madam Min's gonna sing Zero to Hero, and we're gonna play an Arthur for free. And quest with Pascal. What do you got, opponent? What have you got? Shift the big queen, play grab your sword. That would hurt. But short of that, I think we're in business. We do have Arthur's ability to return a character back into our hand, gain 2 lore. Which we can do at Madame Min to refresh our health. Ooh, we find a big Pinocchio. It's also an interesting one. Whenever we play this, we may return a chosen character or item to that player's hand. Not sure it's what we want right now. I mean, we can just hard sing it, I guess. 0 to hero. Madame Min is going to get us a free big Pinocchio, which will bounce back Lantern. Lantern's painful to send back. Yeah, I like that. Then we can quest with Pinocchio. Quest with Arthur. Bring back Pinocchio back to our hand. Get an extra 2. Play back the Pinocchio. Quest with Pascal. Might as well quest with Maleficent at this point. And we're at 50. Bouncy, bouncy turns. I guess you could have bounced back Madame Min from Pinocchio. Opponent hardcast to grab your sword, which is quite painful here. I'm not sure why Pinocchio on the run. Oh yeah, he has damage. It's just not showing up. Grab your sword really hurts. The opponent's sitting with not much going on the board, so we'll probably be able to just squeeze in the extra damage. But the Storm rages on, takes out Pinocchio. Sleepy's Flute allows the opponent to gain 1 lore whenever they play a song. But the opponent's also low on cards. And forgets to activate the Flute. We'll drop a Lilo. Pass the turn back. After all, most cards in our deck are threats. If we keep on playing them one after the other, eventually the opponent is just going to collapse. Lilo at -3 power. Thanks to the big queen's ability. Only 1 card in hand for our opponent. Ooh, Rapunzel. We might as well just hardcast Rapunzel. Oh, we don't have the ink to play Rapunzel. That's interesting. I guess we'll just keep status quo for now. We'll keep Lilo alive just in case we draw one of our Madame Mins. So yeah, grab your sword is probably the biggest weakness of this deck. Still a strong card, even with all the resist running around. Opponent goes to 2 cards in hand. Maybe I should not have maybe I overcommitted to the board. With the strength of Raging Fire, our Lilo goes down. Cinderella, the new best singer. Well, there's an argument. Ariel or Cinderella? Let me know in the comments. Okay. We draw Pascal, so Pascal will get to the ink, and Rapunzel will see play. Can we close out the game? Opponent shifts the Stout Heart. And another Cinderella. As long as the opponent's out of songs, they can't challenge our ready characters. And we're still mostly within reach. Now the opponent's starting to get quite a bit of lore in play. Opponent can quest for 8. Because that has shifted. We don't have it. That grab your sword broke her back. And Embersteel songs, I'll take the win. Thought we were gonna have it. Even through to grab your sword. I mean, That early turn was just amazing, bouncing back a bunch of things, just playing them over again. Opponent actually doesn't win on this turn. Needs a song to activate the flute. Little misstep there. It'll allow us to bring the game 19 to 19, but 19 is not 20. And we will take the loss. Should have been playing around Grab Your Sword a little bit more. Let's see what we can do. Sleepy, Rapunzel, Jiminy, Pinocchio, Madman, Lilo, and Merlin going first. Seems like a good hand. Gee, I'm not... Yeah, no, I'll keep that. Let's ink up that Rapunzel and open up with a classic turn 1 Lilo. Passing the turn back. Oh, and we find a bodyguard. That is pretty nice. So for now, we're going to ink Merlin Goat. Then we might as well put up some more pressure with a Sleepy. Quest with Lilo. Take the opportunity to have our pair of 2 questers on the battlefield. Just nodding off some lore. Trying to get a fast clock on our opponent. Flynn Rider. So opponent might be trying to race us with an emerald style strategy. We don't really need double Simba, so we're going to ink 1. Set 1 up as a bodyguard and continue our quest towards victory. Questing for 4. Ooh, Jasper. Opponent wants to prevent us from questing. Interesting thought. We find another Metaman Snake. But Simba's is good enough right now to protect us. So we're instead going to go with Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket to draw a card off of the Cricket. And I have an evasive threat on the board now. As we can just keep on questing. Opponent resigns because our deck's just too fast. Let's go again. Jiminy, Maleficent, Merlin, Pinocchio, Pinocchio, Merlin, Pinocchio. Well, too many big Pinocchios. I do like the rest. And going first seems good. Oh, and we found a bodyguard. That is pretty good. Let's ink a goat. Go with our 2 quester, passing the turn back. Good old Maleficent. Eudora. 1/9, scary stats. But no abilities to speak of. Alright, we'll ink our second goat. Don't really need it. And I think we have the time to resolve our 3-quester Pinocchio. Questing for 5 is so brutal. Especially when the opponent skips the 1-drop. Mother Gottel. Ooh, Queen of Hearts. Now that's a surprise that hurts. Gonna ink Pascal, I think. Jiminy nets us a card. Can bounce back to Queen of Hearts, but is that really what we want to do? Kind of like playing Arthur too. Alright, let's ink our bodyguard. Go with Arthur instead. And we'll pass the turn back. So our dream turn of questing for 5 got cut short, thanks to her opponent's Queen of Hearts. I did not expect her to see that much play. I'm seeing her included now in Ruby Amethyst style decks, and Ruby Amber apparently. But a Mother Gothel taking a bunch of damage. Alright. So here we probably want to bounce that Mother Gothel back into our opponent's hand. So we quested Pinocchio, shift the big Pinocchio, bounce something, and then nah, we can't play back Pinocchio afterwards. I think we'll go Jiminy. Draw card. Starting simple. Ooh, 0 to hero. That's interesting. I don't think it's for this turn, but let's quest with Pinocchio, quest with Arthur, bounce back Pinocchio, gain 6 lore. It's a brutal amount of lore to get. And this is my only other inkable, so I guess Pascal goes to the ink so I can play Pinocchio again. Go Mr. Arthur, Wizard's Apprentice. Bounce back and gain 3 lore while questing. Great card. What is our opponent going to do? That is the question. Maui. Another painful card to see played against us. As at least the opponent can't quest effectively. Well, Jiminy can quest. Don't have very much use for this small Pinocchio. I really want to play that goat though. Gives us 3 characters in play. Yeah, let's go goat. Gain 1 lore. Cricket. Gain another lore off of the evasiveness, and we'll just pass the turn back. So, in terms of removal, Amber Ruby only really has Be Prepared in terms of area of effect removal. Single target removal is not going to do too well. Oh, and there it is, the Rapunzel Mother Gothel combo, drawing a ton of cards for our opponent. Yes, I do have to worry about Aladdin, because our opponent can take out some of our lore. But we're already at 10, and our opponent can't quest for that much. It's 4 off of the battlefield. Rapunzel here is interesting, because we can trade her in for some cards. So we can already quest for 3 for 5, which is tempting. Can also just play the small Pinocchio, force exert Rapunzel for no apparent reason, and 0 to hero ourselves a big Pinocchio. But we need someone to sing it. Might as well be our goat Merlin. Quested Pinocchio, get our 3 lore. Then we'll bounce it back to our hand. We still have 2 ink left, so we can... No, we don't have 2 ink left. Do we? Let's try to ink that Rapunzel. Oh yeah. With Rapunzel, we now have 2 ink left, which allows us to replay Pinocchio. Got a little lost in my ink there. mean, it was all black and stuff, like that Mario Kart item. When your ink blurs your vision. And there we have the triumvirate of Pinocchios holding down the fort. You can quest for a ton, and even with spot removal on our small 3-quester Pinocchio, it's troublesome for our opponent. The goat just gives us one. We have an evasive threat that's very difficult for Ruby Amber to deal with. Everything else is unexerted. So you need point removal at that Pinocchio, and then you're still in trouble for next turn. It's not like the opponent has any kind of clock on us. Dragonfire. Well, that'll burn out a puppet. That's for sure. Suddenly we can't win next turn. And the opponent does have a mid full of cards. And we need to respect, be prepared. Opponent going up to 8 ink. Find another evasive threat, which is pretty nice. So we'll quest with the crew. Opponent can't shift in an Aladdin. There's not enough ink for some kind of pocket watch at Aladdin shenanigan. Maybe the 3-drop Aladdin. Maybe a pair of them can keep us off of winning. We'll see. Do you have what it takes, opponent, to prevent us from winning on the spot next turn? Seems like it, because the opponent has yet to resign. Goes the quest. Small Aladdin. You need a second one. The opponent doesn't have it. And our little pesky evasive threats get us over the finish line to win the game. I hope that you've enjoyed this video featuring Pinocchi-Aggro, the aggro deck full of Pinocchios. In retrospect, I do really like the aggressive curve of Lilo, Maleficent into the true drop Pinocchio, the 3-quester. Synergy with Madam Min's pretty nice. The Jiminy Cricket felt pretty decent. This Talkative puppet did feel a little weak in the deck, and the big Pinocchio on the run was actually kind of okay. Mostly playing it off of Zero the Hero, but the deck has a bit of a weakness for not playing enough inkable cards, and transforming some of these Talkative puppets and some of the bigger Pinocchios into inkable cards would benefit the deck quite a bit. But overall, the deck was very aggressive, won more than its fair share of the games, and will catch. If you catch the opponent off guard, you can just sweep the game very quickly. The deck list is quite consistent with its aggressive game plan. The one main downside of the deck is that it falls short in the face of Grab Your Sword, which most steel opponents are bringing to the party, mostly to counter decks like this, and because it's just good in general. So again, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, had a lot of fun. Yeah, Pinocchi-Aggro, a great deck. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the decks. Are you a fan of big aggressive decks, or do you prefer the more control-ish type strategies? Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.